Growing up, the concept of love has always baffled me, and I viewed it as a complete waste of my time. Spending time together, buying gifts, and love at first sight. Probably because I hadn't found the right person yet, or maybe I enjoyed my own company. It wasn't until I saw Hysilens Drip Market that everything changed. Everything about her was perfect. She is a physical nihility unit, and she likes whales, which is exactly why I'm waiting for her. And today, I'm going to go over everything you need to know about Hysilens, from what she does to how to build her. Damage over time is where a target takes damage gradually over a period of time, rather than receiving all the damage at once. So like the release of the last Unihility characters, I too took emotional damage after finding out they weren't dot related. First off, Hysilens skill has a 100% base chance to deal 20% vulnerability that counts down from her turn. She also deals physical damage to all enemies on the field, which gains more value thanks to one of her major traces. For every 10% effect hit rate that's over 60% effect hit rate, her damage gets increased by 15% and is capped at 90%, meaning you would need 120% effect hit rate to maximize the full effect. But the vulnerability debuff isn't the only thing Hysilens has. When any ally attacks an enemy target, there's a 100% base chance to inflict one of the effects. When the enemy is inflicted with shock, burn, or wind shear, they take damage equal to 25% of Hysilens attack. However, if the enemy is under the bleed state, the target instead takes physical dot damage equal to 20% of their max HP up to 25% of Hysilens attack. So you're telling me Hysilens looks like Runmei, cosplays Sealer, and has the all-devouring Narwhal as her ult? When Hysilens activates her ultimate, she deploys a zone that targets enemies inside it, reducing their attack by 15% and defense by 25%. While in the zone, if an enemy suffers from dot debuffs, Hysilens automatically applies her own physical dot effect equal to 80% of her attack. This can only be triggered up to 8 times per turn or per ally attack. This means you receive basically 640% dot value. Now let me tell you something, it doesn't even stop there. Hysilens has a major trace that allows her to immediately proc all dots that's been applied on the enemy equal to 150% of the original value. Now this is similar to Kafka's ultimate, except this includes all the dots the enemy has received. Essentially, you're straight up giving them every disease known to man. When Hysilens casts a technique, she creates a special dimension that moves forward for 20 seconds. Enemies caught in that dimension become soul struck, meaning they only follow that dimension and ignore the player. After entering battle with the soul struck enemies, there's a 100% base chance to inflict any of the 2 states from her talent. On top of that, her major trace creates the zone from her ultimate and recovers 1 skill point every time a zone is created, which is actually reliable since Dot is SP hungry, like every other Dot player who has been waiting for new characters. When leveling up her traces, you should aim to level up her talent first since it amplifies the other Dot effects from allies, her ultimate second for the bleed Dot and other debuffs, and lastly her skill for the vulnerability and AoE damage. Wake up babe, it's time to head back into the mines. If you were farming this domain for a long time, then congratulations, you actually unlocked Hysilens. Depending whether or not you're still running this set on Kafka, you should just throw on the Prisoner set on Hysilens instead. Trust me, just use the Eagle set on Kafka. And like America, you'll be free. 2-piece Pioneer and 2-piece Musketeer aren't bad options either if you haven't farmed any good prisoner pieces. Ideally, you want to farm this set for the 4-piece dot effect since you'll be able to ignore up to 18% of the enemy's defense. For planar sets, Revelry is your go-to option, and if you're like me still trying to farm this set, we're fucked. At this point in time, Revelry should be the best set for dot characters since it gives a 12% attack boost and a 24% dot damage boost when the wearer's attack exceeds over 3600, which by the way is easily achievable without Kafka's attack buff. Glamoth is also a great set because like Kafka and Black Swan, she's a dot character, which means any of their old builds you have, you can equip on Hysilens. The set gives a 12% attack boost, and when the wearer's speed exceeds 135 up to 160, they'll receive a 12% damage boost with the low speed and 80% with that high speed. Bear in mind that Glamoth is still a downgrade to Revelry, and that I 100% recommend farming for that set to maximize Hysilens' insane damage. If you don't, you're inting. And here's a bunch of other notes for you to remember to achieve maximum damage on Hysilens, which you should follow. You're trolling if you're not. Yeah, I got nothing to say for this one. Honestly, Hysilens Lightcones aren't that hard to figure out because for some reason, they all want effect hit rate. Do you see her in this Lightcone? That means that's her best Lightcone. Black Swan's Lightcone is also a great option on Hysilens too. I wonder why. Jiaoshen's Lightcone is another good alternative, and Patience is all you need is also solid. However, all of those are premium options. Now let's talk about the more relatable options. If you have Eyes of the Prey at S5, then it's her best free-to-play option. Good Night and Sleep Well is also great, but it's a less lesser free-to-play alternative since gacha is involved. However, the Lightcone suffers from the same issues as Kafka's Lightcone due to Hysilens demanding a lot of effect hit rate. Because of how many Lightcones there are that give effect hit rate, choosing Hysilens Lightcone really is going to matter when building her. Just saying, her Lightcone is right there for you. Famata should really be a last resort if you have nothing on your account, but I hope to God it doesn't come to that. Okay, let's be honest, we all know the best team for her is the premium dot team. Kafka is an essential character in this premium dot team. She's basically the equivalent to Sunday but for dot team comps. Because of Kafka's buff, it's important to build her with as much speed stats as possible to detonate dots, since Hysilens is unable to detonate them enough on her own. Depending on whether or not you choose slow or high speed Hysilens, Kafka will still effectively detonate Hysilens dots more frequently. Basically, imagine Kafka is always bringing Hysilens dot forward, similar to how Sunday drags up the main carry. Kafka also offers a free 100% attack boost. This can be increased by an extra 12% if Kafka is equipped with Lashaka and placing Hysilens on the first slot to activate the effect. Black Swan is also a stable character to the team since she's able to stack more dot damage while decreasing the enemy's defense. Since Hysilens is also able to inflict wind shear, reaching 50 stacks on Arcana is much easier than it was before. Hue is a great addition to the team as she is able to increase your allies' attack more and increasing your team's energy to reach their ultimates faster. Gallagher, Linkshire, Hyacinth or any other sustain can work too, but I would recommend using Huohuo to build enough energy to get Hysilens ultimate for free skill points since dot teams tend to be SP hungry. Now this is for the people who are trying to be that guy. Instead of running triple dot or a sustain, you can replace either the sustain or DPS slot with a support character instead. If you intend to run double dot, buffer and sustain, that's fine too. I'm personally a big fan of using Robin in the premium dot team. Her action advance and attack percent buffs can be great for zero cycling and game content, especially with E1 since she gets a 24% all type res pen. Orame provides 10 extra speed, a damage buff and all type res pen. You can either run DDD to reach speed breakpoints or past in self mirror for the amount of buff she gives. Obviously Tribute at E1 also works, but let's be real, we all knew that. You can throw Cypher in the team for the vulnerability debuffs, which makes the team's damage go crazy. With Cypher's S1, her overall performance in the team improves greatly thanks to the defense shred, which by the way peaks at 87.8% with Hysilens Zone, Black Swan skill and the prisoner set. Pretty disgusting, right? For the cycles out there trying to run Akron, will it? It may. It won't drop this team. Hysilens has highly specific debuffs that are dedicated to the dot team, but you can run this team in pure fiction, surprisingly. If you made it this far into the video, subscribe. It encourages me to make more content, and at some point it will also pay for my Eidolons. Hysilens, Eidolons and Lightcone are both incredibly useful, and honestly, why not just pull for both? Hysilens E1 increases the team's damage by 16%, while doubling the dot application, enabling for faster setups and stronger detonations. This makes her E1 a good stopping point for low spenders. Hysilens E2 encourages players to go triple dot. If you were planning to play double dot with a buffer and sustain, throw that idea out the window. It's all gas no brakes with this Eidolon. This Eidolon is kind of strange too since it doesn't amplify her own dot damage. It actually increases her teammates' damage instead. She also amplifies Kafka's damage too, but that isn't really anything important since her personal damage and dot effect isn't the main source of damage from this team. Kind of strange that our main carry has this Eidolon, but it is what it is. Black Swan surprisingly benefits from this the most. Unfortunately, sustains don't benefit from this either. Do you want to know why? Because they aren't dot characters. Honestly though, I kind of have mixed feelings towards this Eidolon since I'm a big fan of using Robin. Just to recap, the Eidolon restricts you to only play triple dot and it doesn't benefit Hysilens at all, only her teammates, which is actually really unfortunate. Hysilens E4 is honestly still better than most other E4s in the game, so if you really want to test your luck and pull for this Eidolon, go for it. The damage increase from her E2 to E4 is pretty massive, and to be honest, I'm really curious in seeing how Robin E1 and Hysilens E4 would perform in a well-invested dot team. For Hysilens E6, I'm not even going to say much about it. It's her last Eidolon. We all know how broken E6 characters are. It's broken. When Hysilens has her zone up, the physical dot effect is now able to be triggered up to 12 times, and the damage multiplier of the damage dealt is increased by 20%. Again, it's broken. We all know that. Now, the big question is pulling for her Eidolons over her S1 a must? To be honest, if you have Eyes of the Prey at S5 and have a well-invested dot team, you could go for E1. S1 is pretty good for comfortable gameplay and utility. If you have an invested dot team with good alternatives, go for E1. S1 is pretty good for more comfortable gameplay and utility. If you have an invested dot team with good alternatives, go for E1. If you want to minimize requirements such as her effect hit rate and her ally speed, go for S1. Is this a permanent fix to dot? No, we want more dot characters. characters. On a serious note, Hysilens puts Dot on the right path to being great again. The archetype needed the improvement since, we have been waiting for an entire year for a character. Her teams are already extremely straightforward. Just run triple Dot or remove Black Swan to run a damage amplifier. In my personal opinion, I think where we're heading right now with this team, triple Dot may actually be the way to ultimately playing this team. On the other hand, I am quite disappointed they didn't incorporate any effects for Dot to crit, and the team feels somewhat incomplete since we are now lacking a dedicated sustain character. Some may argue we still lack a dedicated support character, but I'm honestly fine with Kafka filling the role. I ain't trying to replace her anytime soon. And what the f are you still guys doing here? Go like and subscribe the video.